Good afternoon, members of parliament, support staff, visitors in the public tribune, and those following by various forms of media. Welcome to this public meeting, number 15 of today, Monday, February 20th, 2023. We've established a quorum of 11 members. Please stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have no prior notifications from the members of parliament. Are there any notifications at this time? MP George Pantaflet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to the chair, my colleagues in parliament, or Rifir, those that are viewing. Mr. Chairman, I just want to use this opportunity to, express my support for the people in Suriname who are going through a very difficult time due to the fact of the inflation. And of course, as they always say, a hungry man is an angry man. But I want to make it clear that none of us are exempted from difficulties and challenges, but some are more subjected, some are more under the pressure than others are. So I want to, I prefer strength for the government and the people. I hope that they could sit down and come to a solution where this can be avoided in the future, because it hurts everyone. It hurts everyone. And Mr. Chairman, again, this is an example of when you are dealing with external forces who are interfering in your internal politics and administration that hampers you from functioning properly. And I do pray that we in St. Martin never come to that point, where we have to face this kind of a challenge. But I'm saying this for the people of St. Martin to realize that very often governments are pressured, not because of their own accord, but because of condition that is placed from outside, over which very often we have no control. So again, I do pray for the people of Suriname that they could find an amicable solution to the dilemma that they're in. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Pantaflet. I do not see any others for notification, and thank you, members of parliament. We have as agenda point for this public meeting, 1, incoming documents, and 2, the advice to send a request to the Integrity Chamber regarding the Parliament Code of Conduct. First, we go over to agenda point 1. All members have received the list of incoming documents and proposals for further handling. Those are 338 through 423 of the parliamentary year 2022-2023. I do not see any members wishing to speak on this topic. So with that, the incoming. Okay, I will allow one more speaker to sign in. Yes, we do have one speaker on agenda point 1 of the incoming documents, and that is Member of Parliament Sarah Westcott Williams. Mike, press the mic. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your indulgence in allowing me to still sign up, because I made a note with respect to the incoming documents, and that's incoming document number 368. And the referral of that document is to the ad hoc committee integrity, and it should be the ad hoc committee electoral reform. Just wanted to make that brief comment. If
okay, just give me 30 seconds, let me review.
Thank you.
Can you repeat one more time, please, MP Westcott Williams?
Sure. Incoming document number 368. That is the proposal from MP Grisha Heiliger Martin, I believe, with respect to electoral reform, a change to the ballot system. And on the incoming documents list, it's referred to ACH, this ad hoc committee integrity. It should be the ad hoc committee electoral reform. That's the point I'm making. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Westcott Williams. Indeed, I have the list in front of me, and it appears that in the subject column, although in the description they put we have AHCER, we actually did inadvertently have ad hoc committee integrity. So that correction is noted and will be taken up by the Griffie of Parliament. Do you require a second round? No? I see no other members signed in to speak. So with that one change that has been reported and a note has been made of to make that change, we close this agenda point and go to agenda point 2. Agenda point 2 is an advice to send this request to the Integrity Chamber regarding the Parliament Draft Code of Conduct. The request from the Ad Hoc Committee Integrity of Parliament to send the Draft Code of Conduct to the Integrity Chamber St. Martin was handled in a Central Committee meeting on January 24, 2023. The purpose of sending the Draft Code of Conduct to the Integrity Chamber is to receive their input and feedback on Article 10 regarding enforcement and sanctions. The purpose of dispatching the Draft Code of Conduct to the entities mentioned above is to receive the Integrity Chamber their input and feedback on Article 10, enforcement and sanctions. In the Youth Parliament's update of the draft code, they included the concept of a handling committee that would exist in an external committee, as an external committee comprised of 1 representative from the Ombudsman Office and 2 representatives from the Integrity Chamber. To ascertain whether or not this is possible, the committee members of the Integrity Committee and of Parliament agreed to put the draft to both entities and request their feedback and input. Based on Article 16, Paragraph 3 of the National Ordinance Integrity Chamber, the Integrity Chamber will only execute on its initiative or at the request of the Prime Minister or the Parliament of St. Martin. And specifically executing, we refer to advices. Hence, the Central Committee proposes that the request for advice, as mentioned above, be sent to the public meeting to receive its approval to send the draft to the Integrity Chamber. This advice was drafted and sent to the public meeting for further handling and ratification. All members of Parliament should have received this via email, and it is also on the P drive. As this is a public meeting for the approval, there is opportunity of 2 rounds of speaking as customary. We have an allotted speaking time of 20 minutes in the first round and 10 minutes in the second round. I see we have no speakers signed in to speak, just to make sure, yes? We then go over to the voting. Prepared? I will adjourn the meeting for 1 minute just to prepare for the voting. Good afternoon once again, members of parliament and the viewing public. Before that brief adjournment, we came to the end of the deliberations on this advice, and according to Article 57 of the Rules of Order, we now go over to the voting. Does any member request voting by roll call? Hoofdelijke stemming. I see request for roll call. Before going over to the voting, I will give members the opportunity to motivate their vote if they so wish. To whom can I give the floor? MP Melissa Guns.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to you, colleagues, those joining us. Just to state that I would hope that there would be support to send this draft code of conduct, which has been written by our youth parliament. I believe that all of us here have talked the big game of listening to the young people of the country for how they would like to see this country move forward. And I think that includes how they would like to see their members of parliament, their council of ministers, and their representatives in general behave and act towards each other and towards the nation in these particular settings. So with that, sending this draft for this advice, which is the one more step in a very long trajectory of this draft code of conduct, I think will definitely have my support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Melissa Gums. Any others for motivation? You have to, yep, there you go. MP George Pantaflet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, indeed, this code of conduct of the parliamentarian has been in discussion for quite a long time. And, you know, this morning I was thinking about it, and I said to myself, is it important? Is it needed? Yes, it is. Have we been able to ensure that everything that is needed, that is put in that document, is it needed for us, or is it something that we just adopt and make changes to it? Nothing we do, Mr. Chairman, can legalize or make our behavior illegal. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Chairman, we have to be very, very careful when we put documents together. And in this case, it is going to, it's supposed to be sent, we got to vote to whether agree for it to be sent to the Integrity Chamber or not. We have our advisory council also, where I believe it could be sent to, or is it going to send to them also at the same time? And, Mr. Chairman, as it is, I'm having second thoughts. Why? If you look at the reality of things, we as members of parliament, and of course, we got to be scrutinized as to what we do, our behavior, and so on. But we have to make sure that, again, whatever comes out of it, that if I want to, or if someone wants to give me a gift, then what should I do? Who is going to interpret whether the gift is something that you know, is just a gift or something to bribe someone? So, Mr. Chairman, at this present moment, Mr. Chairman, I will be voting against to have it sent to the Integrity Chamber. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP George Pantaflet. Next, MP Westcott Williams.
Thank you once again, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I too want to chime in on the proposal to send this proposal for a code of conduct for Parliament to the Integrity Chamber. I support that proposal, Mr. Chairman. However, I give to the Parliament or to the committee dealing with this matter that there is a draft code of conduct in Parliament, different suggestions and what have you. And I would like eventually for us to see these two together and, if necessary, also present some of the proposals that were made by members of Parliament to the code of conduct, to the proposed code of conduct, that if necessary, even when we get this back, that we also deal with those proposals, maybe even send them to an advisory body as well. So I look forward to that happening and have no issue with us sending at this time the proposal from the Youth Parliament to the Integrity Committee, Integrity Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Westcott Williams. And next for motivation, MP Christophe Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to everyone, my colleagues. I am a bit troubled. I have no problem with the code of conduct, Mr. Chairman. What I have an issue with is the integrity chamber. It's no secret to anyone. My position on the integrity chamber, I don't recognize the integrity chamber. I think they're a waste of an institution. I would prefer the advisory council, such as the Ombudsman. I would prefer the Council of Advice. I would prefer set it to a more workable body, a more workable institution than the integrity chamber. I'm yet to see what's the purpose and the role of the integrity chamber than simply having a over balloon budget for doing nothing. And again, I don't want my colleague to get me wrong as why I don't want to support it. I have no issue with the code of conduct whatsoever. I would even send it to the youth parliament because for me, I recognize them even much more than the integrity chamber. That's to tell you. Huh? The youth parliament. The youth parliament.
MPs, allow the MP to continue. Thank you.
That's to tell you how far it goes for me when it comes to the integrity chamber. So because of that, it will not get my support because I don't agree with sending it to the integrity chamber at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MP Emmanuel. Next, MP Angelique Rameau.
Pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Chairman. Pleasant good morning to my colleague MPs. Pleasant good morning to the viewing and good afternoon, to the viewing and listening public. I too would like to give my elucidation as to why I am also going to support the proposal. I believe that MP Gum said it correctly. We have engaged our youth in getting their ideas and their vision as to how they believe the parliament should work. But I also agree that the draft that is there prior should also be looked at because I believe we've dealt with this for quite a while already in Parliament, but there are certain areas that I also believe can be adjusted, and therefore I do not see a problem with it going to the Integrity Chamber because we are doing just that. We are seeking advice, and therefore it will have my support. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, we have MP Ludmila De Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon to you, to my colleagues, everyone listening and tuned in, I guess. And I just wanted to say one thing, hopefully to bring a little bit of practicality back to what is happening and the existence of the Integrity Chamber. It's there, it exists. We vote on a budget every year to fund them, and they might as well do this job for us that we are assigning to them just for input. They're there, they exist. So with that, I will be supporting this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MP De Weaver. Are there any others for motivation at this time? I do not see any others for motivation, and I, being that I will be voting on this proposal, would also take the opportunity to motivate my vote. I do not believe that there is anyone that should disagree with the fact that we require, or it would be good for there to be a draft code of conduct being handled by the Parliament. As a matter of fact, I have stated that I think the process has taken quite long. And it is good that the process is at another step where it is trying to get to the point where it is something to be approved. However, I do not believe that the Integrity Chamber is an institution that should be involved in the vetting of a document that dictates the behavior of members of Parliament. I think the highest, for example, and I echo the sentiments of MP Emmanuel, the highest advisory body of the Parliament of St. Martin is the Council of Advice. we have used it for, in my opinion, much more frivolous reasons to ask the Council of Advice for advice, but I believe that they should be the institution to also check the constitutionality of the sort of sanctions and such that might be welcome, but are they constitutionally viable? I believe, and that's why I want to make it very clear, I am all for a code of conduct, and even in its draft form, and for that reason, I will also be requesting a central committee meeting in order to have that request go then to the public meeting to have those specific questions that I now have, having now seen the draft, go to the Council of Advice, and that route will be something I can support. I do not believe an integrity chamber that I have also said has a highly inflated budget, and then after inflating this budget, we are now giving them more sort of justification for the work that I did not agree with in the first place. So therefore, it will not have my support for the draft code of conduct to go to the integrity chamber, to be clear, but I will absolutely support having other experts such as the Ombudsman and the Council of Advice, and I will also support a code of conduct for the Parliament of St. Martin. We have one more who would like to motivate their vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A good afternoon to yourself. A good afternoon to all of those tuning in, my fellow colleagues. Mr. Chairman, just to be brief, I also am going to support this. I think that given the fact of what the good MP before me said, that there is something that we call parliamentary immunity, which does not only count for us as MPs, but everybody that participates in a meeting with us. And given the fact that we have that safety net, as some might call it, because I personally believe that our actions should actually be punishable by law if we go overboard, just as they do, for example, in St. Kitts in other countries. So I would definitely be a proponent of sending this draft that was made from our youth parliament to our integrity chamber, who is actually the body that goes over these integrity issues. You know, we can ask the Council of Advice of the legality of things. We can ask several other entities, and I mean, we can also ask the Ombudsman, but as we can see, the Ombudsman can give a very long report as to what her opinion is, but we might not even respect it as Parliament. So therefore, I will be a proponent of sending this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, MP Rayan Peterson. And just do note for future reference, of course, I would never want to muzzle a member of Parliament, but normally it is the chairman who motivates last, as I don't speak in the meeting. But nonetheless, we now go over to the voting. I have to select a number. Okay, we start at number 3.
Solange Duncan.
4.
Everyone press. Everyone press.
Yeah. Christopher Emmanuel.
Against?
Melissa Gums.
4.
Grisha Heiliger Martin.
4.
George Pantoflet.
Against?
Rayan Peterson.
4.
Hyacinth Richardson.
Against?
Angelique Rumu. Lutmilla De Weaver.
4.
Sarah Westcott Williams.
4.
Chanel Brownbill. Rolando Bryson.
Against. Members of Parliament, we have the voting results, and we have 7 votes for, 5 votes against. Therefore, the proposal to have the advice sent to the Integrity Chamber is approved. Once again, 7-5. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we've come to the end of this meeting. I thank you all for your participation, and I hereby close this public meeting. Meeting closed.